They said it could never happen, not Ghana, not the golden boy of ECOWAS. They said Ghana would never step out of line, never question the system that once called it a success story, never stand beside the very nations the world once branded as outlaws. But something shifted, quietly at first. A visit here, a handshake there, a public announcement that didn't make the front pages of big news outlet, but sent shockwaves through Ouagadougou. Ghana didn't raise a new flag. It didn't burn bridges. It did something more dangerous. It made a choice, not in secret, not behind closed doors, but in full daylight, to work side by side with the alliance once mocked as coup states. And in doing so, Ghana didn't just bend the rules, it shattered the illusion. Because if the most Western-aligned country in West Africa, the one with the ports, the diplomacy, the deals, can turn its eyes toward Traoré's vision, then everything we thought we knew about African politics is about to change. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just politics. It's a quiet revolution. And when it ends, you won't see Ghana the same way again. In late June 2025, the government of Ghana made a quiet but important announcement. It said that Ghana would begin working closely with the Sahel Alliance, a group made up of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. These are countries that have been cut off by ECOWAS in the West in recent years. Their alliance, known as AES, is led by Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré. To many people, the news didn't seem like a big deal. But for those who understand African politics, it was a major shift. Ghana, known for working closely with the West, was now building ties with a group that had chosen a different path, one that does not depend on foreign aid, military bases, or loans from outside. Ghana is not joining AES officially, at least not yet. But this new cooperation shows that Ghana is stepping away from ECOWAS and towards something new, a vision of African unity and independence that the Sahel states have been fighting for. To be clear, Ghana has not officially joined the Sahel Alliance AES. There has been no signed agreement, no exit from ECOWAS, and no flag change. But the message is clear to anyone watching closely. Ghana is no longer standing where it used to. By choosing to cooperate with AES, especially after ECOWAS punished those countries with sanctions, Ghana is quietly breaking away from the rules that once held West African countries together under one voice. And that move is not small. Ghana has been one of ECOWAS's most trusted members for decades. A peaceful country, a strong economy, a key voice in regional meetings. Now that same country is working with the alliance ECOWAS tried to isolate. So far, ECOWAS has stayed silent. No press conferences, no official warnings. But behind closed doors, things are very different. One memo called Ghana's actions a serious concern and warned that trade, security, and diplomatic agreements may need to be reviewed. In other words, ECOWAS may cut off or punish Ghana if it continues down this path. The quiet part is now being said behind locked doors. Ghana's cooperation with AES is being treated like a betrayal, even if no one dares say it in public yet. This is not just about government or politics. It's a deeper change in how people think, especially in Ghana. For many years, Ghana was seen as a success story. It trusted foreign experts to guide its economy and development. It had fair elections, free markets, and followed the advice of groups like the IMF and the World Bank. Ghana was praised by foreign experts as a model for others to copy. But over time, people in Ghana started to see the problems. Farmers were losing their land because cheaper food was being brought in from other countries. Young people were finishing school but couldn't find jobs. And the value of the Ghanaian cedi kept falling, mostly because the country depended too much on foreign money and trade systems. Even with good headlines and awards, many Ghanaians were struggling. So the country began to ask a big question. Are we truly independent or just following what others tell us to do? That same question had already been asked by countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Now Ghana, a country with a strong voice and global respect, was starting to ask it too. This isn't just about joining a new group. It's about choosing a new path, a path where Africa leads itself, not through outsiders, but by trusting its own people. At first, many people saw Ibrahim Traoré as just a young and brave soldier. But what they didn't see was the careful plan he was building behind the scenes. He was not asking the IMF for loans. He was not allowing foreign countries to set up military bases. Instead, he was building a military trained by locals for local needs. He also began changing the school system, teaching students in their own African languages, and focusing on real-life lessons, not ideas from foreign countries. His goal was simple: to create a future where Africans lead themselves, without needing permission from the outside world. And now he doesn't need to convince anyone that his vision is serious, because Ghana, one of the most respected countries in West Africa, is starting to pay attention. This is what makes Ghana's decision so important. The country didn't leave ECOWAS officially. It didn't make any loud statements or attacks. It simply took a quiet step in a new direction, and now the old system is starting to worry. Some leaders in the West see this as betrayal, but for many Africans it feels different. It feels like something we've waited for, a long overdue return to self-respect. Ghana has strong ties to the West. It has a stable democracy, peaceful elections, and global respect. For years, it was seen as a shining example of how to work with international powers. But now Ghana is taking a different path. It is slowly moving away from quiet dependence on outside help. It is choosing to work with its African neighbors, building strength from the inside, not the outside. So now the question is simple. This moment shows that Pan-African unity is no longer just an idea. It's becoming real. It has a port through Ghana. It has a working system through the Sahel Alliance. And most importantly, it has a heartbeat now. Africans are watching, listening, and rising. This is not a war. It's not about anger or revenge. No one is picking up weapons or trying to fight the West. This is something much deeper. It's Africa finally building its own door and choosing who walks through it. A door built on African soil, using African hands and guided by African dreams. When Ghana decided to work with the Sahel Alliance, it wasn't just sharing its ports or helping with trade. It was sending a message that said, we are not alone, we are united, and we are not poor in spirit. That message echoed across the continent, from the streets of Accra to the villages of Niger, reminding millions of Africans that a new chapter has begun, one where Africa chooses its own path, without waiting for approval from anyone else. History is still being written. Ghana hasn't left ECOWAS. It hasn't joined the Sahel Alliance either. But it has taken a step, one that many thought it would never take. A step toward cooperation with countries the West once called outlaws. A step away from the old way of doing things. Some see this as bold. Others see it as risky. But one thing is certain, it has changed the conversation. Across Africa, people are now asking new questions. What does real independence look like? Who gets to shape our future? And if Ghana can rethink its position, who else will? It may not be a full break, it may not be a revolution, but it is a signal, a sign that Africa's future is no longer being written in just one room. And wherever this leads, the rest of the continent is watching, not just to follow, but to decide.